Welcome back. You're still watching GBS News 9. The Salaries and Remuneration Commission has now revised its decision and halted the review of the salaries for all state officers. According to the Commission Chairperson Lynn Mangich, this decision comes after consultations with the National Treasury. Speaking at a press briefing on Wednesday, Mangich cited recent budget reductions and ongoing national discussions as reasons for the reversal. Mangich clarified that salary reviews for other public officers at lower levels will continue, taking into account existing contractual obligations. Regarding proposed salary cuts by members of parliament, Mangich stressed the legal framework governing such adjustments, noting that Kenya's commitment as a signatory to the International Labour Organization's standards.
Consistently taken measures towards ensuring that public service operates within the prescribed affordability limits. Consequently, the wage bill has come down from 54.77% of revenue in 2020-21 to 46.64% in 2022-2023. The wage bill is expected to further decline to 35% of revenue by 2028. SRC welcomes the support from all quarters to join efforts towards the goal of achieving the 35% wage bill to revenue ratio. Thank you. So we shall now take questions that you may have. Aligned with what we have always talked about. We have always talked about the wage bill needs to be reduced. We are cognizant that in the last one, especially today and even yesterday, a number of MPs have come out strongly to support the position that SRC has always taken. And they have indicated that they are actually supporting a freeze. So to that extent, we take into account such views. It is good for us. It is what we have always fought for. We've always asked the MPs and senators to be cognizant of the financial constraints. So as a commission, we are happy to hear that they are on board and that they will now work with us to actually ensure that we get to the 35% of wage bill to revenue ratio.
Question. My name is Kenna from People Daily. I just wanted to know, in terms of figures, if you could...
Commissions, the county governments is less than 1 billion, right? So out of the 22 state officers is only 860 million. It's less than 1 billion. So if you look at percentage of state officers to the entire wage bill, you can work out. So it is almost 1 divided by 22, right? So just to paint the context that state officers actually is a very small percentage, and Monyoncho can give us the percentage. As I answer the issue about the trade unions, what they involved. Now, you will notice that in my statement, I did say we will take into account any contractual commitments, because where there is an existing CBA, then obviously we cannot just say it will be frozen. So we have engaged the National Treasury in terms of funding, and it is clear that the country cannot afford the entire review as earlier proposed. However, we then must also take into account any contractual obligations, and therefore they will be engaged in the normal manner that is stated insofar as collective bargaining negotiations are concerned. Okay.
Low-hanging fruits.
Then there was the low-hanging... Do you want what?
Just go ahead.
Okay, you've asked about the low-hanging fruits. Oh, it was your question. In terms of the low-hanging fruits, you may be aware that 2 years ago, the Commission started a process to streamline allowances. And we've engaged the media quite a number of times on that process of streamlining allowances. And we faced implementation into 4 phases, right? The phase 1 of that implementation was about the allowances for state officers. And in that process, we abolished plenary sitting allowances, both at the National Assembly, which includes the Senate, and also at the county governments. In that same review, we also abolished the car grants for state officers who are enjoying a car grant. You'll be aware that car grant means that every 4 years, a state officer was being allocated 10 million to buy a personal car in addition to the official car. So every 4 years, there was a 10 million. So that was done for state officers, but you will also be aware that there has been a ruling, a judgment in the court insofar as the judiciary is concerned. But for the other state officers, that has been abolished and will continue to be so. So that was phase 1. We then commenced on phase 2 of those allowances, which largely looked at what is cutting across, allowances that cuts across. And you may then be aware that in that phase, we, for example, pronounced ourselves on allowances such as task force. We looked at daily subsistence allowance, what it would look like. We also, and has consistently